So, Sanaya Rivers got on live, and you better believe the next time that the Indiana Fever faced the Connecticut Sun, like, I just want to see, has this really even been covered on YouTube? ESPN posted it 7 hours ago. ESPN posted it. ESPN took clips of it live and posted it in full on their one, which is crazy.
Sia Rivers just put Sophie Cunningham on blast. And guess who's standing right next to her, like she's got front row seats to the Petty Olympics? Yep, Marina Mabrey. This isn't just drama. It's top-tier courtside chaos. The tension is so thick, you could dunk through it. What did Sophie do? Why did Sia choose that exact moment? And is Marina just vibing or quietly stirring the pot? Hit play, because this WNBA moment is unreal.
Man, so evil.
Damned if I do or damned if I don't.
Damn.
Marina Mabrey, damned if I do. Did she just say damned if I do, damned if I don't? She just knocked someone on their ass for no reason from behind. She freaking Marcus Morris them. Well, no, sorry, Nikola Jokic on Marcus Morris them.
If I do, damned if I don't.
I hate that one up.
Like, it's just basketball, man. Y'all love that shit in the NBA, though. It'd be cool when the dudes do it.
People were calling for Jokic got a suspension for doing what Marina Mabrey did to Marcus.
If you honestly watched that clip and thought JCS Sheldon was actually trying to make that shot, it might be time for a refresher in Basketball 101 with a bonus class in common sense. That wasn't a basketball move. It was a shoulder-first missile launched straight at Sophie Cunningham's soul.
Talk about, this is crazy. This is Sanaya Rivers and Marina Mabrey going on TikTok after that Connecticut Sun game and lying. And this is an example. I want to go through some things with this because this is an example to me of what an absolute unprofessional cesspool the WNBA is. I know you all know that, but I still think it's important to talk about this because history gets rewritten all of the time. I just saw somebody talking about now that with the Cheryl Reeves stuff, if you saw my video, people talking about how Caitlin Clark was not playing well at the time of the selection and on. And that, again, revisionist history. I did a deep dive at the time, playing as well or better than any guard in the league. Chelsea Gray.
The ball was nothing more than an accessory, a prop in the theater of vengeance. It had about as much relevance as a napkin in a hurricane. Sheldon wasn't aiming for 2 points. She was aiming for 2 ribs. And the fact that people are out here defending it like it was just part of the game, that's the real comedy. Part of what game? The WWE crossover episode nobody asked for? So first of all,
there was a practice. They did their media during the practice. They pulled Sophie Cunningham aside, and of course they asked her about the JC Sheldon incident, and she stood on business. She said, this has been going on for a couple years now. Mind you, she was on the Phoenix Mercury last season, but she had mentioned that this had been going on for a couple years now with Caitlin Clark, and she was basically sending a message.
Sheldon might as well have strapped on a helmet and thrown up a linebacker's hand signal. That wasn't a drive to the hoop, it was a full-on charge, locked in like a heat-seeking missile. And unfortunately for Sophie, she was a red in the bullseye. No finesse, no layup form, no eyes on the rim, just pure, targeted force, like she was settling a score from 3 AU tournaments ago.
Gained, I think, 500,000 followers and such, and your jersey selling out. How cool is that for your...
Yeah, you know, it's cool. It's funny what kind of people are attracted to. You know, I'm just trying to keep the main thing. The main thing is that's basketball, trying to win games, sticking up for my teammates. And that's all part of it. I think all that stuff it's fun and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we need to win some basketball games. I'm just going to be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. You know, I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, you know, the star player of the WNBA.
Somehow, in the upside-down world of hot takes and sideline analysis, Sophie Cunningham is the one getting roasted, like she lit the match. As if standing still, bracing for impact like an unpaid stunt double was some kind of basketball sin. People are acting like she flopped, exaggerated, or sold it for the refs, when in reality, she took that shoulder hit like a parked car takes a joyriding teenager. Physics did the talking. Sophie was just the unwilling recipient of an upper body freight train, and instead of sympathy, she gets memes. Meanwhile, Seneca Rivers is in the background, not exactly radiating peacemaker energy. No, she's got that "I saw everything and I got opinions" look. She doesn't need a mic. Her side-eye delivers a full commentary track. And let's not sleep on the most underrated detail in the cinematic chaos: Marina Mabrey. She's right there, soaking it all in like she booked a front row seat to the drama tropics. The calm chaos coordinator, the subtle instigator. You just know she's ready to summarize the entire event in 5 emojis and a perfectly timed gif for the group chat. That wasn't strategic foul. That was an emotional one. If basketball had infractions for unresolved grudges, that hit would have come with suspension and a therapy referral. Sheldon wasn't driving the lane. She was driving a point, and that point was sharp enough to pop Sophie's equilibrium. The real kicker? People will replay that clip 14 times, zoom in, slow it down, run 3D motion analysis, and still walk away saying it was just a hard play.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happens in basketball.
If the Indiana Fever fans keep voting the way that they are, could they get Sophie Cunningham to an All-Star game? The Indiana Fever have 4 players in the top 10 of WNBA All-Star voting right now. So could we see 5? However, that top 10 is missing someone, and I think you guys are about to snub Angel Reese from an All-Star game, which is crazy.
The goalposts aren't just moving. They've packed up, changed sports, and relocated to a different league entirely. And let's not rewrite history here. Sophie Cunningham's no stranger to scrappy play. She's had her moments. Elbows thrown, whistles ignored, and stare-downs that could melt ice. But there's a big difference between playing physical and getting steamrolled. This wasn't 2 players battling for position under the rim. This was a broad daylight body check, and somehow the getaway car was a free throw. Of course, the internet's collective brain trust decided Sophie must have provoked it. Classic deflection. It's the sports equivalent of blaming the crash on the parked car. And just when the dust starts to settle, Sania Rivers steps into frame like the final act of a courtroom drama. The tension? Palpable. The timing? Flawless. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't perform. She doesn't need to. Her presence alone delivers a closing argument. The look on her face says, "We all saw what happened. Don't gaslight me like that shoulder didn't just violate someone's personal space and the rules of basketball."
Something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah, see, that doesn't even need backup. Just facts, vibes, and a side of righteous indignation. And right there beside her, Marina Mabrey, continuing her silent reign as the queen of quiet chaos. She hasn't said a word, but her face is narrating the entire scene like Morgan Freeman in a true crime doc. She's Switzerland neutral, unbothered, but you know her camera roll has receipts. She's the calm in the storm and the one selling umbrellas. And the funniest part? There are still people out here pretending this was all normal, just another Tuesday game with a little extra physicality. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham is over here picking her shoulder up off the paint like it's a dropped earring. You don't accidentally launch yourself into someone's torso with that kind of commitment. That was a decision, executed with the grace of a wrecking ball and a tutu. Then comes a pearl clutching. Why is SA inserting herself? Why is she even commenting? Because someone had to. Someone had to be basketball's brutally honest best friend. SA didn't start the fire, but she absolutely brought marshmallows. Her delivery? Cold, clinical, and deliciously precise. The kind of calm rage that says, "I've got time today, and I brought the truth."
Sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
With the play that set off the entire night. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.